You are Cabinet Secretary for Defense.
Yes.
You sit in the National
Security
Council.
Yes.
You consume the highest level of intelligence in this country.
Yes.
And you have sat here this morning.
Yes.
And you have directly and expressly said that the former president is funding instability in the country. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And this is from what you consume as national intelligence.
I am telling you, that's why I told you in the beginning. I am not the Minister for Agriculture. I am a minister who sits in the National Security Council. The footprints of the Kenyatta family is found in all these demonstrations and in all this chaos. And not only us, even our international partners are aware.
Spice FM got a little bit too spicy today. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, this is Fabrizio Romano, aka the Kenyan Revolutionary. Today, I was watching Aden Duale interview on Spice FM, and he made a stupendous statement claiming that him, as the Cabinet Secretary of Defense, he sits on intelligence briefings, and he can say certainly that the Kenyatta family are involved or has a hand in these mandamanos. Of course, he's implying that the Kenyattas are funding these mandamanos. Now, and also he said that the international community, their friends, the Western friends, are also aware of this. I've always maintained that the Kenyattas, there's a good possibility, allegedly, I've alleged or I've said that there's a good possibility that the Kenyattas might be indirectly involved in funding these mandamanos, and that the sole source of this funding might be coming from the Western governments. Okay? I explained why in my previous video, but I never really delved into why the Kenyattas might be involved in this. And my thesis, and my thinking is that, in my submission, that Kenyatta, Uhuru to be particular, might be behind this. Okay? I'll explain why. Very quick. In 2007, we had these clashes between ODM and the government-backed militias, the Mungikis at the time, who we almost went to a civil war, if you remember that. And the two main protagonists that went to Hague were William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta. Sang and Mudaura were basically working behind them. Okay? Now, these two, once they were mentioned and were taken to Hague, they formed a coalition out of convenience. They really don't like each other. But they figure that, you know what, we are in trouble right now. So the only thing that can save us is us coming together and making sure that we win the next election with the help of Mr. Mwai Kibaki. They rigged the election, they won in 2013, and the case was taken to the Supreme Court, and it was struck down because of a technicality. Okay? So they became in power. They came in power. Uhuru the president, Ruto the vice president. The deal was Uhuru finishes 10 years, then Ruto does his 10 years. All right, Uhuru finishes 5, and for his second term, he did not have any use for Ruto, as we know. And the whole disrespect started. Uhuru showed his real colors. Remember, these guys were beefing before. They had this tribal thing going on. Let's not sugarcoat anything. The Kikuyus and the Kalenjins were not getting along in 2007. We saw what happened in Kiamba. We saw what happened in Naivasha. These two factions, these two tribes were at war. And Ruto and Kenyatta were the main warlords, so to speak. So, once they came together because they were both in trouble and they found it very convenient to be together while they're going to Hague, won the election with the help of Mwai Kibaki, got into power. Uhuru Kenyatta, in his last term, he never had any use for William Ruto. There was no need of pretending to like him anymore. So what did Uhuru do? He showed him outright disrespect by giving more responsibilities to, Matiang'i, to undermine Ruto. There was even a meeting where Oscar Sudi and the Kalenjin community MPs, when they were having the Jubilee meeting, and it is said that Ruto outrightly called them names, disparaging names. Anyway, so this beef has been going on, and Ruto knew that he has to play ball, lay low, because he was aiming for the next election, which was 2022. Now, come to this to do, we know what happened. Ruto won the elections, and it was payback time, okay, for Ruto. Now, here's the thing. This is my version of things, and you can disagree or agree with me. The war between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto is still presently going on. The difference is Uhuru Kenyatta is using Raila Odinga and his protesters to destabilize William Ruto's government. Because remember, once William Ruto came to government, what did he start saying? He said, hey, let's look at this, the Mois, let's look at the Kenyattas. Let them pay taxes like everybody else, especially the taxes that they did not pay years before, for years, okay? Of course, that will strike a nerve with the Kenyatta family. You even saw Mama Ngina coming out and say, hey, what the hell? If you want to take my shamba, take my shamba. I don't care, whatever the case is. They were basically complaining. So there has been this proxy war between Mr. Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta, using Raila Odinga with the protesters to sabotage this government. And there's also Mr. Ruto, the President Ruto, who's using Gachagua to go after Kenyatta and his minions, what's his name, Matiang'i, and everybody else that was associated with this, were friends with Uhuru Kenyatta. So basically, like I said in my previous video, once Ruto said that he will go after the taxes that these families, like the Kenyatta family, hasn't paid for years, Uhuru Kenyatta basically said to him indirectly that, hey, if you want to come after my family and the wealth of my family, guess what? I will destabilize your country. I will destabilize your government. And the way that I'll do it, I'll use Raila Odinga and his supporters to go disrupt businesses and every sector of the government so that you're unable to govern. Now, if you want to do that, if you stop, we'll be cool and we can have peace. But so far, both factions are standing their ground. They don't want to give an inch. And do I support them sitting together and talking? No, I don't. But I'm simply trying to explain that this beef between Uhuru Kenyatta and President William Ruto did not start yesterday. This has been going on for years, but it's reared its head after Uhuru's second term, after Uhuru's first terms, okay? And now that William Ruto is in power, he's trying to pay back for the humiliation that he suffered under Mr. Kenyatta. So it's not a surprise to me that Eden Duale came out and said what he said. But what I find very, very kind of alarming is he actually said with certainty, that him as the Cabinet Minister of Defense, sitting on intelligence briefing daily, he has ample and verifiable evidence that the Uhuru Kenyatta family, the Kenyatta family as a whole, is funding this Maandamano. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say today. My name is Fabrizio Bromano, aka Kenya Revolutionary. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like, share, comment. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with my thesis or not? I respect your opinion. Keep it respectful and let me know what you think. We can debate. Peace.